I'd like to acknowledge the Lurugunditj, one of the 12 clans of the Jagud Wurrung people, who are the traditional custodians of the land. I pay my deep respects to elders both past and present of the Jagud Wurrung nation, and I extend that respect to other Indigenous people who are present. Welcome to the Iris House. Hello everyone. My name's Sophia. You can hear my voice as we go through the slides. I won't be reading out everything on the slides because I know that you can pause and you can go back and look at this information later, but I will be having a bit of a chat with you as I take you on a tour of the beautiful Iris House. That's Mex, you can see in the photo there. Here is the contents page. You can refer back to that later. And here's my front door. I describe my house as affordable, sustainable house with capital letters because it has become a bit of a thing. It's not just my first own home, it's something that I really want to run with. And it's very new. It was constructed in 4 months. The building permit was issued to begin on March 2020. And we got the certificate of occupancy on the 6th of July 2020. We moved in and me and my son have been here just over 2 months by the time you're listening to this on Sustainable House Day 2020. So this is the history of the land where the Iris House is located. And you can see a photo of Mount Lura in the background there, named after the Lurugunditj people. It's one of those towns with lots of quarter-acre lots. Very lovely town, really lovely town to live in. Country towns are a gem. And this is where Camperdown is located in climate zone 63. So it gets pretty cold here in winter. We have more of a need for warming our house during the cold months rather than trying to stay cool, even with climate change taken into account. We're about 50 minutes up the highway from Warrnambool. This is what I wanted to achieve, and I think I've done it because I'm now sharing this project with you. Affordable for a single person on not a huge income. So this is a little bit about me, where I started and came from. I was a musician. I was a full-time musician for a long time, and I lived in Barcelona. And then I fell in love with a Venezuelan bass player, and things didn't work out quite as I expected. So I moved back to Australia in 2008, and that's what led me onto the path where I am today with my son. It is a little lonely at times. I don't have a strong family network, and so combining with working full-time and my health problems, it can be a bit of a juggle. So that means that one of the options for having affordable houses is to try and do a bit of owner building, to try and do some of the labour yourself with the help of your partner, with the help of your friends and family network, in-kind support, going out finding cheap and recycled materials. That just wasn't an option for me. I had to think of something else. But fortunately, I did have quite a few resources to draw on. I do have to give credit to the person who I was involved with for 5 years when I moved back to Australia. I had a partner who I learned a lot from, someone who was very knowledgeable about energy efficiency and the NatHERS rating. And from that really got me interested. And so after 2013, I kept on learning. I haven't been to university. I haven't studied building design or energy efficiency formally, and you don't have to either. Have a look at those resources and get stuck into it. I highly recommend getting all the knowledge that's out there and sharing it and then seeing what can happen. I do love working with a pencil and paper One of these days I'll do it all online with all the fancy software, but there's something about pencil and eraser and a ruler and a protractor. I also was meticulous about writing down every single cent that I spent for 3 years. It made a big difference. And not every single person has this opportunity, but I was fortunate to have some financial support that came at a time when it was really needed. Ultimately, your best resource is your own persistence. Here's the details about my site. You can have a look at that later. It's not huge, but it's not tiny. And it has beautiful trees. Check them out. That's summer solstice, so lots of sunshine for solar generation. Here's the town of Camperdown. So the grid network is almost exactly 45 degrees out of whack of where you'd want to be for ideal northern orientation. But as you can see, we can make it work, and it's very walkable. Walking distance to the supermarket and the main street and the train station. I love it. So because of that grid network being out of whack with north, I put my house out of whack with the street. So that means that my living areas are 10 degrees east of north, which is just about perfect. Here are the floor plans and elevations. It's actually not that different from Bondhome's Delmont house, and you can go online and you can check out the original design and you can see the differences, the changes that I made. But one of the best things about it is a simple rectangle. Now, when I first started looking at land and trying to imagine a house on it, I was doing all sorts of different shapes to achieve what I thought would be good northern orientation. But fortunately, early in the process, I attended Speed Date, a sustainability expert, organised by Renew, and that was in February 2018, and I'd like to say that I had a date with Tim Adams and Richard Keach. Gentlemen, if you're listening, thank you so much. You set me on the right path. A simple rectangle, light, tight, insulated and orientated right, has made this house the success that it is. Here's the information about the land. That's the photos from the real estate agents. Thanks, guys. And here's the data about the construction and dwelling setup costs. So there were some essential costs, then there were some other extras which really are also essential. And I counted everything down to the last cent. Now, the base price for Bondhome's product was just over 150,000. I made some changes and that got it up to 7.7 stars. Not all of the changes were actually for the 7.7 stars. I have to confess that I treated myself to a dishwasher. I love having an all-electric house. That induction cooktop is fantastic. But there was something that was a little odd in this project journey. So I thought I'd done very well to actually design a house that achieved a 7.7 star rating for 260,000, including the cost of the land. But the bank valued it at 240,000, and so they would only lend me 80% of that amount, which meant that I was short on my deposit. So that's where I appreciated very much the assistance from my father at that point. Now, why did the bank so badly undervalue a 7.7 star 3-bedroom new home? I guess because this is what people want. I didn't have a garage in the project. That's coming later, but I wasn't prepared to include it at that stage. And of course, this means we still have a fair way to go in terms of education in the industry about the value of energy efficient design and building. Well, moving on, that's Trev. Trevor the cat is lovely. Let's talk about thermal mass. I was so excited when I discovered this little bit of information in the free resource, Your Home. There's a link there. I actually bought the hard copy of the book, and that little table there is on page 184. When I saw that, I thought, my goodness me, water, it's fantastic. Why would you use anything else? Well, of course, I know it's not going to work for every project, but it worked for mine. Now, all those bottles, there's a lot of weight, nearly a ton. It's quite safe. There's very secure reinforcement under those floors. They've been reinforced with big steel bars underneath. There's big steel bars on the side, and wine bottles have been stacked that way for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I wasn't actually intending to have wine in my house as thermal mass. I was hoping to get empty bottles and fill them with water. However, things just worked out where there happened to be 1,312 bottles of wine that was unable to be sold due to a fermentation fault in the bottle, and so it ended up in my house. Again, thank you to my father for his contribution to the project. And it really works. We barely need to run our single reverse cycle air conditioner. And it looks nice at night as well. That was an idea from one of my friends as we were working out how we were going to do this project. We added fairy lights. Me and my son love it. Now, of course, this is my first project, so I've learned a few things. There's some things I'd do differently, and being a raised floor dwelling, you need to go upstairs to get into it. In the future, I'd really like to design a house that has ramp entry and do it in a way that's affordable in the project, and also include an airlock entry to assist with the thermal stabilisation and to prevent the mud getting in the house and to leave somewhere for your boots and coats. Airlock entry, fantastic, that's what I want. Sound reducing insulation in the internal walls. There's no insulation in those inside walls. I didn't think it was an issue. That's something I'll change in the future. And I'd like to just lower the height of that dividing wall between the fridge and the living room, just another 30 centimetres. Yeah, I'll do that next time. So here is my thoughts on the first couple of months of living here. So as you can see, the house ended up with a really good building envelope. We've got a result of 6 air changes, which is much better than the current requirement in Australia for 10. And it's just with Bond Homes doing their standard build and paying attention to the tightness of the building envelope. I'm looking forward to seeing how our bills drop over the year. You can see Mex there enjoying it, looking out through the double glazed glass sliding door. There's a few things that we'll be doing over the next 6 months. I can't wait to have the solar system on. I can't wait to have a north-facing deck with a pergola and grapevines, and it will be good to have that garage in place for my bikes. I can't wait to grow yam daisies. and I can't wait to do it again. It won't be for my first house, but I do hope that I'll be able to help other people, particularly people who are on their own, to have a beautiful, energy efficient, affordable, sustainable house. There's the photo credits. Thank you, Helena. She did a wonderful job as a gift. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everyone.